welcome. You're watching First Stick here on News 9, where we bring to you the morning buzz on Dalal Street. I'm your host, Suyash Maheshwari. We have got an action-packed half an hour ahead of us with lots to cover. We have three big listings today in Cred Brands, the Mufti Jeans Maker, RBZ Jewelers and Happy Forgings. Now, the stocks will be listed in just a few minutes from now, so stay tuned on the latest for that. We will also be joined by two very special guests in Mr. Brijesh Iyer of IDBI Capital Markets and Mr. Sudeep Bandyopadhyay, Group Chairman and Indie Trade Capital. But first, let's take a look at the global setup. Now, Wall Street kick-started the final week of 2023 in the green. The S&P 500 climbed about 0.42% and the index, which is often considered the proxy for US stocks, is now just 0.5% shy of its all-time high touched in January of 2022. Meanwhile, Nasdaq Composite advanced over 0.5% and the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up about 0.43% or so. Now, Asia Pacific markets have also started on a strong footing, with the stocks in Australia hitting the highest levels in 2 years after trading resumed after the Christmas break. Now, Japan's Nikkei is up about 1% this morning, and with a 27% rally alone in 2023, it is the top performing index in Asia this year. Hang Seng was also up about 1.5% this morning, and South Korea's Kospi, now that's in the negative, it's down marginally by about 0.14%. Now, among other big movers overnight was the oil prices. Oil prices jumped by about 2% after a 3% surge last week. Now, the recent spike comes on the back of rising tensions in Middle East, with a fresh attack on shipping in the Red Sea, prompting vessels to avoid the key shipping route. Brent crude, as we speak, is hovering somewhere around the $81 a barrel mark, whereas WTI crude was above $75 a barrel mark. Other than that, the dollar index has pretty much been range bound, so not much movement there. This index is still at a 5-month low at around 101.5 sort of levels. The 10-year bond yields also sit below the 4% mark, and gold prices were last seen hovering around $2,060 per troy ounce, helped by the weaker US dollar and lower treasury yields on expectations that the US Federal Reserve will lower interest rates next year. Now, on the back of this positive setup, Indian markets have also opened higher, with a first stick for Nifty coming in at 21,497 mark. Now, we have rallied since there, and Nifty has added about 40-50 points from there. And as of 9:30 a.m. this morning, as you can see on your screen, Nifty was up 0.42% at 21,530 mark, whereas Sensex was up 0.44% and it has reclaimed 71,650 level. The broader markets are also participating. In fact, the mid-cap 100 also rescaled 45,600 for the first time since last week, whereas the small cap index is just a touching distance away from 15,000 levels. Now, India VIX, that has in fact scaled 15 levels, and again we have not seen these kinds of levels since March of this year. So pretty much this is a 9-month high, and but some of this volatility comes from the fact that trading volumes are low, given that most of the institutions are on a long holiday because of Christmas and New Year's. But with that, let's also bring on board Mr. Brijesh Iyer of IDBI Capital Market. Now, sir, we are just a stone's throw distance away from all-time high levels, and about 50-60 points shy. Do you think we can make that one final hurrah before drawing curtains on 2023?
Yeah, morning. So I believe, there is a high chances that we will retest some, maybe another fresh highs by 50-60 odd points can be made. So very much on positive on charts, because for the last at the start of the week, I believe this would be a more of a range bound kind of a market within 21,000 and 21,500. So now the way 21,500 is taken out, because for 21,500 there was a lot of call writing, and that was one of the intra-week resistance zone. So now I think that is slowly being taken out. The view is positive. As likely you said that 21,600 is likely to be registered maybe today, tomorrow. Bias is positive. today's Bank Nifty expiry, all eyes are at the 48,000 strike price. So
Hmm.
I believe once 48,000 is taken out on the Bank Nifty, a good amount of short covering will be seen. And if that triggers, then definitely Nifty and Bank Nifty both will start going on the higher side. So bias is extremely positive.
All right, and what's the view on the broader markets in general? Now, we have been talking about froth building in the broader markets, but time and again, at least 3 instances were there in 2023 alone where we saw a 3 to 4% decline, but the markets recouped all those losses, within a matter of sessions. Brijesh.
Yeah, so currently I don't have any I don't think till the elections are over, maybe till the month of April and May. So we are. I don't think there could be a major correction in the market. There can be
Hmm.
a slightly profit booking which can do come at 21,800, 22,000 level whenever it approaches those points. So range has definitely shifted. So the levels of 20,500, 20,000 are going to act as a major support. So I think there can be a small, slight profit booking, but I don't see any major corrections. And the front line, for example, the sectors like IT, as you spoke, IT is
Hmm.
something which is going to lead the momentum, followed by auto and to some extent pharma space.
All right, and shifting focus to stocks, Tata Chemicals was up about 7%, has extended its rally for 3 days now. And the stock has been quite choppy all through the year, but now we are finally seeing some buying action with good volumes. So, is that a stock that one can look to add in their portfolios?
Definitely, I think Tata Chemical is one of our big, and after a very long time, it is breaking off its concession zone. So earlier 1210 was the high which was there. I think that high will be easily taken out on the higher side.
Hmm.
So I think it's a definitely it's a kind of a SIP stock. Somebody wants to take position at current price as well can take. And whenever the stock corrects to the some decline 1040, 1050, because the 1000 is a very strong base. I don't believe 1000 will be broken very easily. The trend is extremely positive, and near term it can be 1250 plus on charts. So I think we should be having a position in this particular counter.
All right, that's the view on Tata Chemicals. Another stock that I want to pick your brains on, because we are seeing a good build of good bit of buying interest also build in its Deepak Nitrite. Now the stock was up about 4%. It closed at the highest levels in over 1.5 years, and strong bullish candle over there as well. Is that another counter that perhaps one can add for long term or short term gains?
I think the way what we saw in Tata Chemical, that strong structure is not there, but definitely it is an uptrend. The high bottom structure, weekly, monthly time frame is positive. So what we can do is like if somebody is having a position, should hold on the position 2680, 2700 is the likely continuation of this trend. So I'm not pretty confident whether we should be adding on decline, but having a position, we'll hold on towards 2700 mark. That would be the directional view because there is no negative pattern on any negative thing in the counter. So we'll hold on to position toward 2700 level. This is what we can say. And close to 27, we will review whether what action has to be taken.
All right, so there is still quite a bit of upside left as far as Deepak Nitrite is concerned. Now, Brijesh, before we let you go, any 3 to 5 short-term trading ideas for the benefit of our viewers?
Yeah. So I think the way Tata Chemical move, even the device has now started to move. And if you look at the weekly or monthly structure, it is making a technical pattern, the inverse head and shoulders. It's quite strong.
Hmm.
Device my positional bet at the current level with a stop loss of 3766 for the target of 4080. So that would be the one of the positional bet. And from the trading point of view, I think Chambal Fertilizer is something which is catching my eyes. So I
Hmm.
think one can have a trading call in Chambal at current level with the stop loss of 360 for the target of 390. And last one would be M&M Finance. So basically M&M Finance, this 270 and 300. This is a range for the
Hmm.
last couple, so many weeks. So now I believe it's again come to the supports level. with a very small minimal stop loss of 265, 262, which the risk reward ratio is quite good, favorable. We can play for 290, 295 on the higher side. It's again a trading bet.
All right, that's Mr. Brijesh Iyer for you. Sir, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for joining us here on First Thing, and a very happy new year to you and your family, sir.
Yeah, same to you, same to you.
But moving on, let's also look at the market structure, because we are just, a touching distance away from all-time high levels. As of 9:55 a.m. this morning, Nifty 50 is at 21,560. So the previous record high was 21,593, just about 33 points shy of it. The small cap index is also, struggling with the 15,000 levels. So that perhaps becomes a major resistance for the day and for the near term. And we are seeing good bit of buying interest across sectors, as most of them are trading in the green, in the positive territory. And Nifty Bank, now that has also seen a good bit of a spike in the last 5-7 minutes or so, and it's just about 10 points shy from 48,000 level. So keep an eye out for that. But with that, let's take a short break. On the other side, we will be back with the big listings, and Mr. Sudeep Bandopadhyay also joins us. So stay tuned for that.
This was intended to be a terrorist spectacular without precedent.
The plan was to bomb 2 Air India passenger aircrafts simultaneously.
There was a loud explosion and the whole plane just vanished.
The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Seeing is believing. Or is it? These are your favorite celebrities that you saw in the videos. But what if I told you that they are not?
Today, deepfake is one of the biggest challenges that the digital ecosystem is facing.
Cannot identify what is deepfake and what is real.
We have seen Rashmika Mandana go through the same thing, and this is becoming a common problem.
Everybody is going to be targeted.
The execution is there's a laxity in our regulatory execution. In times to come, that is going to cost us a lot.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with the situation far better.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
वर्ष 2070 तक भारत नेट जीरो का लक्ष्य हासिल करेगा.
There is certainly a wall of capital coming into the clean tech, climate tech space, not just in India but across the world.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. You're watching First Take here on News 9. And in fact, in a few minutes from now, the three stocks will be listed on the exchanges: RBZ Jewelers, Cred Brands, and your Happy Forgings. And as you can see on your screen, you can see the visuals of Cred's listing on BSE. Now, the Mufti jeans maker had attracted a strong interest from across the board, but actually it was the institutional money that was more interested in this particular issue. Qualified institutional buyers for one subscribed to about 104.95 times to the issue allotted for them, whereas HNIs subscribed about 55 times to the portion set aside for them. And as a result, the listing is expected to be strong in double digits, with some of the reports stating that the listing premium could be as much as 35 to 40% over the IPO price of about 280 rupees. Now, we'll have you the numbers in just a few minutes from now, but let's also talk about RBZ Jewelers, which is also due to list on BSE and NSE today. Now, the listing compared to the other listings and as well as the jewelry stocks that got listed this year it's expected to be muted, with about a 5% or a 5 rupee premium over the IPO price of about 100 rupees. Now, overall, the company had garnered good bit of interest from investors, as the issue overall was subscribed by about 17 times. Retail investors over there showed most interest, buying about 24.74 times of the entire allotted quota, whereas high net worth individuals picked up 9.27 times of their reserved portion. Qualified institutional buyers, on the other hand, had picked up about 13.43 times of their reserved portion. Let's also talk about Happy Forgings, because that is also expected to be a big listing today. Data suggests that we can see a listing gain of about 25 to 30% over the upper end of the IPO price of about 850 rupees. You can see the visuals of the listing on NSE, the listing is also obviously going to be on the back of strong institutional interest that the company garnered. High net worth individuals subscribe to about 62 times of their reserved quota. QIBs, the qualified institutional buyers, picked up 220 times their allotted quota, whereas the retail investors just picked up about 15.09 times. Now, the listing will be in a few minutes from now, so we'll get you the latest on that. But with that, let's also look at how the markets are holding up, because we are approaching the all-time high levels on Nifty. In fact, we are sitting above the 21,550 mark, so about 30-40 points shy of the record high of 21,593 points. Now, remember, this is a crucial supply zone, the range of 21,500 to 21,600. So, the market is expected to consolidate in that range going forward. But if we see a big breakout from here on, that could perhaps open doors to higher levels of about 21,700 to 21,800, and that has been indicated by the experts we are talking to. The Sensex has also in fact reclaimed 71,700 for the first time since Wednesday of last week. The index is up somewhere around 400 points, actually just about 405 points at 71,721 mark. The mid cap and the small cap indices are also holding on to the morning gains. The mid cap index is up about 0.64% as of 10 a.m. this morning, whereas the small cap index is still struggling with that 15,000 mark, but we are not seeing any major sort of a correction, so that perhaps augur well for the bulls. But what does not augur well for the bulls is the volatility index, which now is above 15 levels, and again this is a 9-month high for India. VIX, which is up 2.2% this morning, and among sectors, most of them, in fact all of them on NSE are in the green. Nifty Bank, as we speak, is just about 30 points shy of the 48,000 mark, and the auto index is also building onto the previous day's gains. It was among the top performers yesterday. In fact, even today it's up about 0.66%, 62%, as you can see on your screen. Among other sectors, it's the IT pack that has also seen a good rebound. Now remember, yesterday we saw a correction in the IT pack on the back of big player terminating a $1.5 billion memorandum of understanding for an AI deal with Infosys. So there was some bit of weakness over there. But with that, let's also bring on board Mr. Sudeep Bandyopadhyay of Indie Trade Capital. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us here on First Take. Now, the markets after Wednesday's crash, most of us had turned cautious and had expected to, the markets to remain choppy for the remainder of 2023. But good bounce back. Do you think we have that one final, the last hurrah left to make that 22K perhaps?
Definitely possible. I think, what's happening in the market is a stream of good news coming continuously. After last Wednesday's crash, there were a lot of skepticism in the market, but the market sharply started recovering from Thursday itself. And towards the last weekend, when the news came of US inflation numbers, and they were benign and much better than expected, I think the global investors cheered that with a rally in US markets. There was a follow-up of that yesterday in India when the markets opened, and many other Asian markets. Leave aside China, because China is a different market altogether now. But most of the Asian markets were up, and so was India. And I strongly believe that the momentum is and will continue in the foreseeable future. Also remember that there is enough and more liquidity in the markets, both international as well as domestic. We have $2 billion plus coming every month as incremental SIP. We have FII's money trickling in, but a lot of FII money is expected to come in. This is a lean season for FII investment, so probably it's a trickle. But probably once things starts opening up in early January, we will see a flood of FII money coming in. So expect newer highs in the indexes. Yes, there will be a bit of a turbulence here and there. Profit booking at record levels may come. But after that, I think things will consolidate and start moving up once again.
Now, Mr. Bandyopadhyay, hearing you, it looks like India's situation at least looks too good to be true. Any threats that we need to be cautious of?
Well, geopolitical situation is always a threat, and that is completely unpredictable. Last week, if you had asked me, I would have told you the oil prices are in the 75-80 range, dollar per Brent barrel. But as things stand today, you never know which way the Red Sea conflict will move and which way the Suez Canal passage will, remain open or not. So there is a lot of concern. We were talking to the exporters, and the freight rates between India and continental Europe has doubled. So obviously there is a lot of pressure. Oil prices can move up even further if the conflict persists. So we have to be cognizant of this geopolitical tension, which I think will have a result of oil prices shooting up, and that definitely has a negative impact on Indian markets and Indian economy. But if you leave aside the geopolitical stress for the time being, based on sheer demand-supply scenario, oil prices should remain benign, and they should be in the 75 to 85 range, which is absolutely fine for India.
All right. And do you think that COVID, because COVID is picking up once again, do you think that could be something that we'll need to keep a track of?
I don't think so. I think, multiple authorities, including WHO, has come out and made a statement that this is one other kind of fever. And, this is not the obnoxious variety of COVID, which will have a significant impact on human health and mortality. So I think we should not have too much of stress. At some stage, there may be some vaccination may be recommended and things like that. But I don't think we should get too perturbed. This is just one other kind of fever.
All right. Now, sir, the primary market is buzzing, and in fact, one of the stocks that was supposed to be listed today, Happy Forgings, has listed at a premium of about 18% or so at over 1,000 rupees. But we have Credo and RBZ Jewelers also listing today, and good gains are expected from both the counters. Between the three, which one would you recommend for long-term investors to hold in their portfolio?
Well, I think consumption is an evergreen theme, and we have seen what's happening to the consumption stocks. So both Credo and the jewelry companies should do well. Credo predominantly on the back of the brand strength and the growth of the brand. Jewelry companies all over are doing very well. We expect them to continue doing well. So these two companies should do well. But I would definitely recommend investors a bit of a caution, not to rush into and buy today itself. I think they will and are at elevated levels on listing. So maybe wait for things to settle down before they get into buying these two companies. As far as Happy Forging is concerned, this is the fourth largest forging company in the country. But being a company in the core sector, I think there will be appreciation. It's a good company, but you can't expect abnormal price increases like what's happening in consumption and other themes.
All right, and as we speak, Credo has in fact disappointed on its listing. It has listed at a premium of just about ₹2 at 282 per share versus the price of 280. RBZ Jewelers on the other hand has listed on a flat note, in fact at ₹100, which was the upper band of the IPO price. But sir, as we are drawing curtains to 2023, what is that one company that got listed, let's say in 2023, or even if we do not limit ourselves, let's say since COVID, that could be a multi-year wealth creator?
Well, Tata Technologies is definitely one company which one need to look at. It is a fantastic business, has been doing well, and definitely can be included in the investor's portfolio. I would like to mention one more thing, that as opposed to last year's or 2021, 22 listings, current year's listings are distinct. These are mostly profitable companies having an established track record which has come for listing. So I am positive on the current crop of companies which got listed. Whereas if you compare with the last year or the year before's listings, most of them were loss-making platform companies, new age companies, and they came with unrealistic premium levels. And there were major disappointments post-listing as far as investors are concerned. So I suspect the market has given a very valuable lesson to guys who are wanting to list. That is, pricing has to be reasonable. I'm not saying loss-making companies can't get listed. We have Ola Electric coming for listing, hopefully sooner than later. But the pricing has to be realistic if you want to make a success of the listing.
All right. Now, sir, once we are back from that New Year vacation, we'll have December quarter earnings. Now, what are your expectations, broadly speaking, from the December quarter? Because, in the last 2 quarters, we had seen a trend, and that was a decline in demand, especially from at the bottom of the pyramid. Do you expect a significant departure from that trend, given the festive season was also there in the December quarter?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we will start seeing recovery in rural demand from Q3 itself. I'm hoping that Q4 will be even better, and that trend will definitely be visible, that demand recovery in rural India is happening. And the beneficiaries obviously will be the companies having significant rural exposure. In the FMCG space, companies like HUL, Dabur, you will see reflected in their volume numbers.
All right, but sir, the last time around, the commentary from HUL, that indicated that they are facing, challenges from local players in smaller markets. Could that persist for this problem persist for these big FMCG players like your HUL?
This has been, we have seen this movie many times, multiple occasions over the last, 4 or 5 decades. We have seen local players coming and challenging the multinationals or established companies with upstart brands. There has been turbulence for a brief period, and then things settle down. I'm not saying the local players are bad or they won't have market share. Everybody will find their own niche and grow. The demand in India is huge. And I think, organized sector meets only a fraction of that even today. So the scope for growth for an organized small local player is there. And definitely there is significant growth opportunity for, large organized players like an HUL or a Dabur or a Marico.
All right. And sir, as we know, 2023 was a year for PSUs and realty stocks. In 2024, what sectors could steal the limelight?
Well, construction, infrastructure, these are the two sectors which are our favorite, and all pretty much related sectors. So whether it's a building materials, whether it's cement, will be our favorite in 2024 as well. There is a significant tailwind. There's enough and more government capex happening. Private capex is also starting as things stand today. So the construction companies are getting orders which are, they probably have 4 or 5 years worth of order book already accumulated. As far as other sectors are concerned, defense continues to get fresher orders, newer orders. But my only submission here is that the valuation of most of the defense companies are at a level which is, I think, fully priced or maybe a bit on the overpriced region. So investors need to be a bit cautious as far as defense companies are concerned. They will continue to perform well, but the price at which they are available is a bit stretched.
All right. And before we let you go, if you could give us your, 3 to 5 stock picks for 2024 as well.
Well, from an investor point of view, I think I would recommend them go and buy some of the frontline stocks which are still available at attractive valuation. Reliance Industries is the first name I will recommend. The second name will be Larsen & Toubro. I think both are fantastic companies doing very well. They have their own set of triggers for upward movement from current levels, but both are worth buying. As far as the BFSI space is concerned, I think it's a very safe bet to buy SBI at current levels, and so on. So is Bank of Baroda and PNB. I think these 3 PSU banks can be bought at current level. We expect some substantial gain from these levels.
All right, words of wisdom coming from Mr. Sudeep Bandyopadhyay. Sir, appreciate you joining us here on First Take and wishing you and your family and everyone at Indie Trade Capital a very, very happy new year.
Thank you. Wish you all the best for the new year.
But moving on, before we wrap things up, let's also look at how the markets are holding up, and they are still trading near the day's high with Nifty hovering around that 21,560 mark. Again, we are just about 33 points shy of the all-time high level. Sensex is about 250 points shy of record high. The mid cap and the small cap index are also showing significant strength this morning. Both indices are up about 0.7%, but keep an eye out for volatility as India VIX has scaled 15 levels for the very first time in 9 months. But we leave you at that, and with that, it's a wrap on this edition of First Take. But stay tuned with us as we'll be back after a short break with Business Plus.
This was intended to be a terrorist spectacular without precedent.
The plan was to bomb 2 Air India passenger aircrafts simultaneously.
There was a loud explosion and the whole plane just vanished.
The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.